Hello, one more time. Yes. Oh, I was going to check. Oh, is today April 1st? I'm not sure. I have to look at April Fool's Day. I'm not sure. Are we already there? Gosh, that month would be gone too fast. I saw someone say something about tomorrow is April Fool's Day, not today. And I thought that would have been yesterday. And I didn't go and check. I didn't check the okay, anyway. So, I find it interesting on how good posts out there. I do. I'm not big on politics or anything. Ooh, my stabbing in my head. Uh, Not big on politics, but I do like to be informed a little bit about what's going on out there. I don't go look for it. I just stumble upon it, and then if I feel like, oh, I gotta go and check this out and see if this is actually true, and I'm unimpressed, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it, with a lot of people out there who are Democrats, and you can tell they're Democrats. You can literally, if I would not know what the post was about, and I would just see their comments, and everything was taken out where it would point to just by the way that they word things and the words that they use, okay, the intent of the sentences and the comments, the intent, I can pick out who is a Democrat out there, because the ignorance of the Democrats out there and on how they show it in the comments, I would be embarrassed, okay? Then the way that they come back at people who are saying, wait a minute, go and read up on this. You can go read up on that and you will find that. And they'll come back and it's like, I don't care. It's a, what? Well, then why say something to begin with? Baffles me every time on how ignorant, uneducated, and very little knowledge Democrats have when it comes to history, for example, or political documents, the Constitution, even. I'll say this and then I'm going to start reading. Free speech has dignity. There is dignity in having free speech. And when you take that free speech, when you take that dignity out of free speech, it's not free speech anymore. The First Amendment isn't for just anybody out there to open their mouth and say whatever. That is not free speech. Free speech is for people who have educated themselves, are knowledgeable in the area that they want to have something to say about, and want to be heard over something that may need restoring. But it isn't for just anybody out there to open their mouth and there's a whole bunch of foul stuff coming out. That's not free speech. And I wish people would be more aware of that. Anyway, there was a. Also bring this up because there was a teacher who disciplined just said, "Hey, what are you doing? If you don't like it here, then go back to where you came from. I don't think there's anything wrong. You can't take the. All right, come over here. Since you don't know that you stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance in the country you live in, then let me give you a little lesson on that." And next time you might remember you're hurting palms or you're hurting butt. I'm just saying. And it was the comments over that, which that teacher didn't do. That teacher just said, look, oh, and that was offensive. That's offensive to say to someone who does not stand up I don't have to say the Pledge of Allegiance. That's not my thing. That's not my family's thing. That's not my culture thing. Yet. What are they doing here then? Huh? And the people can say, well, free speech goes for everybody. That's not free speech. Okay? People need to understand that. And I have, for myself, I had to say, thank you for standing up and disciplining that young person who obviously wasn't taught at home what the right thing is. There. What you could do, though, is go and educate herself. I don't know. And then come up with a good reason why some people do not need to. I don't know if there is a good reason, right? To not have to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I tell you what, the one thing one can do is homeschool. There is that. Just come to school a half hour later, if that's what they do every day. I don't think that was the case. She could have just said, I need to go to the bathroom for... Okay, go on. But to sit there and have an attitude on top of that. Well, all I can say, that young woman was lucky for me not to have been there. Yeah. No. That has nothing to do with free speech. That is bad behavior. And I sure do not need to see that kind of type of behavior and then not being addressed and disciplined, and people disciplined for that, especially young people. Right? Anyway. Oh, okay. Said enough. Oh, wow. I had plenty to say. All right. So, Book of Jeremiah. E. Miscellaneous prophecies. Oh, my dear Lord, how many of them are there? That the fate of Zedekiah. 34. The word came to Jeremiah from Yahweh when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and his whole army, with all the kingdom of the earth under his dominion, and all the peoples, were waging war on Jerusalem and all its towns. We already heard this, right? We're reading it again. Yahweh God of Israel says this, go and speak to Zedekiah, king of Judah, and tell him, Yahweh says this, I am going to hand the city over to the power of the king of Babylon, and he will burn it down. And you, Jerusalem, will not escape his clutches, but will certainly be captured and handed over to him. You will see the king of Babylon face to face and speak to him personally. Then you will go to Babylon. Even so, listen to the word of Yahweh. Zedekiah, king of Judah, this is what Yahweh says about you. You will not die by the sword, you will die in peace. And as spices were burnt for your ancestors, the kings who in times past preceded you, so spices will be burnt for you, and the dirge sung for you. Alas, for his highness I have spoken, Yahweh declares. Okay. The prophet Jeremiah repeated all these words to Zedekiah, king of Judah, in Jerusalem, while the army of the king of Babylon was attacking Jerusalem, and all such towns of Judah as still held out, namely Lachish and Azekah, these being the only fortified towns of Judah remaining. No idea what that has to do with any of that. The episode of the liberated slaves. The word came to Jeremiah from Yahweh after King Zedekiah had made a covenant with all the people in Jerusalem to issue a proclamation freeing their slaves. Each man was to free his Hebrew slaves, men and women. No one was any longer to keep a brother Judean in slavery. Oh. Oh, did you just hear that? Just the Hebrew slaves. I bet you they had plenty others. Oh my gosh, is that right? Well, I noticed that immediately. To keep a brother was no longer to keep a brother Judean in slavery. Why would you? Now suddenly they become brothers. Wow. I'm just saying, that is so hypocritical. All the chief men and all the people who had entered into the covenant had agreed that everyone should free his slaves, men or women, and no longer keep them as slaves. They had agreed on this and set them free. Afterwards, however, they changed their minds, recovered the slaves, men and women, whom they had set free, and reduced them to slavery again. The word of Yahweh came then to Jeremiah as follows. Yahweh, God of Israel, says this: I made a covenant with your ancestors when I brought them out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. It said, at the end of 7 years, each one of you is to free his brother, Hebrew, who has sold himself to you. He may be your slave for 6 years, then you must send him away free. But your ancestors did not listen to me and would not pay attention. Now today you repented and did what pleases me by proclaiming freedom for your neighbor. You made a covenant before me at the temple that bears my name. And then you changed your minds, and profaning my name, each of you has recovered his slaves, men and women, whom you had sent away free to live their own lives, and has forced them to become your slaves again. You might not like to hear this, but this happened exactly here in the United States. The draft of the Constitution had in it to free all the slaves. And there were at least three of them from Georgia, of these founding fathers, who didn't like that. They were all Democrats. I said, no, we need those people to work for us for nothing. Yeah, same thing. Same thing. Democrats did that, by the way. I hope the Democrats remember that. Again, as I said, if they would know that, some of the nonsense that they're sprouting out there now, they wouldn't be sprouting that if they actually were educated and knowledgeable about those things. Just saying, I'm not wrong when I say the Democrats are drill sawdust coming out. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a Democrat. Okay. Just saying. Well, how interesting. The same thing happened here in the United States as happened thousands of years ago in Israel. So to begin with, our government did not follow God's guidance, did they? Because the young man that drafted that Constitution was. And who stopped it from being right? Aha. All right. To begin with. So Yahweh says this: you have disobeyed me by failing to grant the freedom to grant freedom to brother and neighbor. Very well. In my turn, Yahweh declares, shall leave sword, famine, and plague free to deal with you, and I shall make you an object of horror to all the kingdoms of the earth. As for the people who have broken my covenant, who have not observed the terms of the covenant which they made before me, I shall treat them like the calf that people cut into to pass between its pieces. The chief men of Judah and Jerusalem, the eunuchs, the priests, and all the country people who have passed between the pieces of the calf, I shall hand over to their enemies and those that determined to kill them, and their corpses will be food for the birds of the sky and the animals of the earth. As for Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his chief men, I shall hand them to their enemies, to those determined to kill them, and to the army of the king of Babylon, which has just withdrawn. Oh, but I thought that he wasn't going to kill Zedekiah. You know what? Listen, I shall give the order, Yahweh declares, and bring them back to this city to attack it, and capture it and burn it down, and I shall make an uninhabited waste of the towns of Judah. There you go. Okay. What else is new? God never said that, never did that. I don't believe that. People just destroyed themselves. And if you enslave people, every people is a proud people. Okay? There is no, oh, these people were born on this continent. These were born on that continent. One is smarter than the other. What makes people think it works that way? Some are meant to be, you know, they're higher elevated. They're meant to be masters and leaders. Yes, head of households, this and that. And then you have these other people who are meant to be servants and slaves and laborers. How's that going to work? I tell you why it doesn't work. Why it has never worked. And why there has been so much destruction in our world, especially when it comes to our lives. It's because no people likes to be put down. Every people out there, no matter where they come from, how small their place is or their community, are a proud people. And you don't abuse, mistreat a proud people. They will fight back. The sad thing is that in the way then one fights back is also not right. Becomes destructive to one's own people. I hope people understand what I'm saying here. Hence, yeah, you're not going to follow God's guidance, then the mayhem, the chaos and the mayhem will start. Because now fundamental laws on how one treats one's own brother and neighbor are broken now. We're breaking covenants amongst each other by mistreating and abusing each other in one form or another. There are all kinds of realms where you can do that. One of them is love, isn't it? I've been wanting to say this for a long time. Every cheater out there has a husband or a wife, cheats on them. I wouldn't want to be you when you go to spirit world. Just saying. Here it is. Guidance to young people. You don't need all that practice. Just wait for the right one to come along. You'll know. Doesn't mean it's just going to be hunky-dory, this and that. But you will work together for the rest of your lives. And you will be loved. Truly loved. And not cheated on. I'm telling you. Do it the right way. It will be good. That's all I have to share. May Heavenly Parent bless and protect you, guide you, embrace you with love. Yes. Eldridge, my dearest brother. Yes. Let's keep praying. Mother's nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Oh, I'm so excited about that. I'm going to tell everybody about it. We're going to have to pray about it. Yes, 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 yes. Move heaven with that. Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. Just amazing. I'm going to move the hearts out there of the people. Yes? Now we'll talk to you all another time.